Hello, and welcome to the demo of the barrel racing system from Rodeo Ready. Rodeo Ready is a Calgary, Alberta-based company developing software for the rodeo industry. We recently merged with the rodeo management system as we work to build the future of tradition in the rodeo industry. Rodeo Ready automates, digitizes, and streamlines rodeo event experiences for associations, competitors, and producers. We make it easy, from registration to results. We are excited to build towards launching the Rodeo Ready version 2, which will incorporate many leading features for the individual competitors, individual performance tracking, stock performance, and provide community and fan experiences with many more features. We built the barrel racing system using the Rodeo Management System platform, which is used across North America by 100 plus rodeo associations. We developed it in partnership with several barrel racing associations. We are following the same plan as we did with Rodeo Management System, where we first developed the core functionality, then built more features as requested by users. As good ideas are suggested to us, we put them to use and make them available for all to use. Using the barrel racing system as an admin starts from barrelracingsystem.com, and we click on admin in the upper menu, and then we will log into the demo account. In the upper menu, you will see the admin menu, which follows a logical flow from the dashboard through setting up the system, events and barrel racing shows, tools that we use during the show, entering times and calculating results, to viewing results and season standings. We also have a full member management database system, including barrel racers and their horses. There are a number of reports available as well as a large number of settings to help customize the system to your needs. There are what we refer to as two sides to the barrel racing system. There's the admin side, which is what you see here, and currently we are in the dashboard, which includes the message center for any new updates and feature availability. And then we also have what we call the public side, or the member side, which I'll just bring up for us now, over here to the right. And what this is the side of the barrel racing system that is visible to the public, including how members will interact with the barrel racing system. The public side is made available by an iframe link, which we provide to you and which you can paste to your website or your Facebook pages. In our demo, we have already entered some test data. We have a number of events, we have some side pots, we have some show dates, we have some members, and we will show you how that all works together as we begin setting up the events and running through the demo here. When we first set up a new account, we would begin by setting up the events. To do this, we would go to Show Setup, Manage Events. So whether you are adding an event or viewing an event, you will find that you would use the same form, which we can look at as we edit this event. As you can see, we have 4 events in here right now, and we will edit this event just to show you how it works. So you can click in any of the boxes and change the settings. So we're just going to remove X from this event name. The draw sort order is which order on the public display of the draw these events will show up. So 1, this will show up as the first event, 2 obviously would be the second, etc. The entry fee is obviously the entry fee for this event. This amount is included in the payout purse. There are other fees that can be set as well, which are not included in the payout purse, and we will have a look at those a little bit later. As we go through the demo, there will be some fields that we will pass by, as they are not the most commonly used features within the system. What we will be showing you is about 90 to 95% of what is used by everybody. So as this is a barrel racing event, we would tell it that it is a timed event. In this case, the open event penalties will apply. So what this does is it just creates an input box when entering results for adding penalties. This event is the open event, and so we need to indicate this as, in some cases, in some associations, the open event, you can carry times over to the open event from other event, or the reverse is also possible, that you can carry times from the open event to other events. So we need to indicate that this one is the open event. This can also be a side pod event, and we will show how that works in a little while here as well. Once we've made the changes, we would submit this. Before I do that, one thing I will point out is that the barrel racing system, you will see, works with a number of forms and a number of display tables, and then everything is saved into a relational database. So that's stored on our cloud servers, and any of the programming that needs that data can access it. So you should never have to enter the same data twice. And when you update a piece of data, such as we did with removing the X from this event name, then that change is in effect immediately throughout the system. Adding or editing an event will use the same form. It will have the same fields, so you will get used to a common set of data that you will need to work with. When we are finished, as I said, we will simply submit the form, and now as you can see, this event we've removed the X from the name. Once we have our events in place, we use Manage Shows to set up the show dates and indicate which events will be included. We already have an event here, a show that has been completed. As you can see, all of these boxes are filled out. So this show was completed, and we did that so that we have some data in the system so that we can show you some results as well as some season standings. We're going to have a look at barrel race demo number 2 here, which is a show which will start in about a week and a half, and which is currently in entries right now. And so we look at some of the information here. We have the show name, we have its location, we have the start date and end date for the show itself. So a show could run over all 3 days of a weekend, or could simply be a weeknight, or it could be one day, such as a Saturday on a weekend. Next, we have the entry open and entry close dates. So this is the date and time at which online entries will become available to your members. And the entry close day and time, this is the time by which online entries must be submitted in order for members to have that entry be included in this particular show. Then we have a number of control boxes here. So these buttons will determine what is available to be seen on the public side. So if we go over to the public side here now, we can see this is the show that has already been completed. And so here we can see the draw. If we click on the draw, we can see the draw from that Barrel Race Demo 1 show. We can also see the results because those are available. And then we look at Barrel Race Demo 2, which is the one we're working on right now, and we have not turned on the buttons to show the draw on the public side, nor are we showing results on the public side, and so those buttons are not available. What we do have is the enter button, because this show is available, or the date is in between the start date and the close date, so the enter show button is available. What these controls do is they give you the ability to display the information when it is time to show it. So it gives you some control over that. So we have a few more other settings here, but we'll now move on to sort of one of the most important areas of setting up a show, and this is all the event details. So when you start a new show, it will automatically include all of the events that you have in the system. If you will not be including one of those events in this show, then you would simply click the checkbox off next to it. Or if it was a new event that you added, you would see it here. It would show up similar to this without the box checked. And then we would simply check that box. So to have a look at some of the settings here, we'll have a look at our open barrel racing. So any money that you have added to the purse for the prize money can be entered here. Any gross deduction from that going towards paying your expenses would be put here. If you're going to indicate an arena drag after a certain amount of riders, you can indicate that here. If there are, and we can mouse over some of these for additional explanation, if there are more than one entry per member allowed in this event, then you can change that here. The default is 1. And by entry per member, of course, this being barrel racing, we really mean per combination of rider and horse. So if a rider has, say, 2 horses, 3 horses, as we'll see when we look at the entries, they would be able to enter this event once per each rider-horse combination. If there are a maximum number of entries for this show, for this event, we can indicate that here, and maybe that's due to a time limitation. If you want to change the order that these events appear in the draw, you can change that specific to this show. Then we would select the event format, and we have a number of formats here: standard, 2 go plus average, 2 long short, 3 go plus average. So you would choose which event format you wish. If you are choosing a short go format, then you would indicate how many riders would be advancing to the short go. Some associations will allow the rider to carry the time from go 1 to go 2 for various reasons. Draw order can be set here as well. So if it is a multi-go format such as 2, 2, 2, or 3 here, then you can choose the order in which the run order for the goes after go 1. So go 1 will always be random, and then go 2 could be random as well, or it could be a reverse, which would mean the opposite order of go 1, or it could be a repeat of go 1. So in reverse, whoever went first in go 1 would go last, and whoever went last would go first. In the repeat, whoever went first is going to go first, and whoever went last is going to go last. Now we get into some of the specifics on setting up whether this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5D type of event. So we would indicate how many divisions there will be, and then the time differential from the fast time. So this would be fast time plus half of a second is when D2 would start. Fast time plus 1 second is when D3 would start. And fast time plus 2 seconds is when D4 would start. And obviously you can click and edit these boxes and change them as to your needs for your specific show on that date. You can also specify how much of the prize purse is going to be allocated to each division. So in this case, this event is going to split it 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25% for Ds 1 through 4. These do not have to be even amounts, as we have done down here with our Barrel Bonanza, which is a 3D event. We're paying out 50% to D1, 30% to D2, and 20% to D3. So once you have made all of your settings here, and as you can see, you can also set the payout specifics for the side pot. In this case, we've made this side pot to be a D1 format, and we're going to obviously pay out 100% of the prize purse within D1. Now there's also another section under settings called Manage Payouts and Placings, which is where we would specify within each D how many places are we going to pay out, and what percentage is that going to pay. So for example, perhaps we would be setting it so that we would pay 3 places, and of the prize money available for D1, it would pay out 50% the first place, 30% the second, and 20% the third. Again, those can be set as needed for your organization. Once we have made those, we would scroll down. Now we have a number of information boxes, and these are simply this is simply information that will show on the public side on the rodeo schedule over here. So as you can see, we entered some information here in notes to competitors, and if there's information in this box, it will appear. So our notes to competitors, as you can see, this is providing some additional information as necessary. We will click Save for any settings that have been changed, and we're back to this screen. So now that we have our events set up in the system, and we have our show date set up and all of the settings to manage the specifics on race formats and payout settings and that type of thing. Now we would have entries starting to come in. So as members place their entries online, and they would click this button to do that, and we will do that shortly. Then we would see those entries starting to come in. We would receive an email notification when that happens, and of course a copy of that email notification goes to the member as well. And so we can see these as well in a full list when we go to Manage Show Entrants, and we would choose the show here. And as these entries come in, we will see that they are organized by the entrant, by which horse they have entered with, and which events they have chosen, and if they've chosen a side pot, or if they have chosen to carry over the score in any way. You can also see whether or not these members and their entries owe any money. So if they have paid all of their fees, you will see $0 owing. If they still owe money, you will see a dollar amount owing, and this dollar amount you will see, for example, with Rusty here, this $277 is the total amount that Rusty owes for the events entered. So this is not 277 plus 277, this is the total amount. And same with Roberta here. You can see $382 is what is owed. And again, if they have paid, then we can see that they have $0 owing. And if you are using the online payment system that comes with Barrel Racing System, when the payments are made online, it will automatically update the database so that you don't actually have to touch this entry at all. They can enter online, pay online, and everything is complete. You can also delete an individual entry. So this would delete Roy and the horse Cy Young from this entry. You can delete this member from all of the events that they have entered. You can also edit this entry. So if you needed to move this particular member from this event to another event, or if you needed to remove the side or the showcase side pot, for example, then you could edit this member and this entry and make those changes as needed. So we'll now have a quick look at what an entry looks like. So for a member, they would click on Enter, and we will work with member number 6, which is one of our test members. And for each horse that they have entered in the system, they can choose which events to go into. So in this case, we will take this member and enter them into the open barrel racing for each horse that they happen to have. We will also choose for this horse the showcase side pot, and then we would click next. They will now have the ability to review, and if everything is as they selected, as they wish, submit entry. And now we would see the information has been saved, and it will show the fees that are owing, and they can click to pay their entry fees online. And as I said, when this entry is submitted, there will be a notification email that is sent, and I'll just go and grab one similar to this is not the exact one, but this was set up in advance as an example. And you can see that the screen here looks very similar. We have a list of our fees owing, a link to pay your fees online, as well as how else to contact the association. And clicking this button would take them to the payment system, same as it would from their email. It would take them to the payment system where they can complete the entry with payment. There is another fairly convenient way to add entries to the system as well. Often at barrel racing competitions, there will be a number of entrants that will be arriving at the location shortly before the event. And in that case, you have the ability to process bulk entries. And so here we can select an entrant or select a member and horse combination. So we'll choose this member, and we'll choose this member again with a different horse, and we will put them into teen barrel racing, and they can choose the side pot, and we can choose another member. And so we'll go with test 3 here as another member here, and we'll pick another horse of theirs, and they are going to go into the open, and they are not going to choose any side pots, so we'll skip that part of it, and we could go on and choose additional bulk entries as well. And then we would hit the submit button, and as it says here, is entered these members. And now if we were to scroll down the list, those were test 1 and test 3. So if we scroll down here far enough through the alphabetical listing here, here's test 1 with the 2 entries we added, and here is test 3 with those 3 entries that were added. And here is that test 6 member that we entered via this entry form over here, where they had entered open, 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 as well as one side pot. And there's the open, open, and one of the side pots. So this takes us then through the tools that we would use as entries are coming in online, and our ability to view them and manage them. After all of our entries have been received and the entry open date has closed, the next thing we would typically do is go to generate a draw. So we click, as I said, show setup, generate draw. We will choose the show that we are working with, and we will initialize the draw, which copies over the entry data into the draw file so that the draw system can then do its randomization. So we make sure that we have it selected, and if we are working with an event that runs a short go, such as a too long short or a short and long format, then we would be able to run that short go draw when we've completed the other rounds. In this case, we'll just generate the draw, as we don't have any of those types of events. So this will go through its randomization routine, and it will give us a long list of everybody that has been placed into the show. And as you see here, it says all entrants were placed in the draw. So at this point, if we look on the public side, again, the ability to enter was still there, but none of the other buttons are there yet because only the admin at this point can see this draw. And so what we'll do as well is we'll go have a look at the draw preview. So this is for this show, and we can now see what the draw looks like. So this was the open barrel racing event, followed by, and these are all the carryovers, followed by teen barrel racing, followed by the barrel bonanza, and so now we see what the draw format here is. And if for some reason we look here and we see something that doesn't look right, so for example, we didn't set any of the rider separation settings. So we see that we have test 3 and test 3, and we don't want this member to run back to back. So this is where we can use one of the other tools here. This is called Assign Entrance. And this would be the tool that would be most frequently used after the draw has been ran and before the event actually starts. So we can go into an event, and in this case, we want to look at, go number 1 for this, and it's just going to load up our information on who was placed where. And here we had test 3 running back to back. So we can actually take test 3 and let's just move them to position number 14. And let's go get 14 and move them to 2. And then we can scroll to the bottom of the list and submit that. And we now see that we have swapped out Angus here with test 3. And so we can go through and for whatever reason, move people if we need to move people. But if you don't need to make any changes, then we would be good at that point. Once we are happy with the draw, this is where we now would want to make it available to the public side. So we would go to Manage Shows. We would choose the show that we're working on, and we would go to these buttons, and we would tell it that we're ready to show the draw on the public side. So we're ready to make it available to the members, and in this case, we'll, just to save time, we'll mark it as official as well, and then we would scroll to the bottom, or we can just hit enter in any field as well, and we would save that. And so this is going to then ask us a question: do we want to notify the members? So the system detects that we have changed one of the settings and asks us, would we like to send an email notification to all the entrants in this show? So if we click this button, there will be an email that goes out, and it will say the draw for Barrel Race Demo 2 show is now available, and it will provide them a link. They can click the link and they can go see the draw. What changing the setting also does is it will make it available on the public side here. So we'll just refresh on the public side here, and now you can see that the draw button is available. So we can click that and we can go see the same draw that we were looking at that only we had access to before. Just go back to the schedule here. So now we have all the entrants. We have generated a draw. So we now have a draw available. We have some tools that are also available, which can be used on the date of the show during the events. We have judges cards, which if your association prefers to have pieces of paper to work off, which you can then record all the times and then enter them later, then judges cards can be used. We have announcer sheets, we have day sheets, and you would simply pull those up as well, and You can generate the day sheets, for example, and they will generate to a PDF, which you can save, you can forward, you can print, you can do as you need with those day sheets. So we will just have a quick look at judges cards. And so we're looking at barrel race demo number 2 as our show, and we're going to look at open barrel racing as our event. And we will just click the generate button, and it will produce a PDF, as I said, which we can download, which we can print, and it will show our event in draw order, including the member and their horse, and place for timer 1, timer 2, any penalties that may apply, that sort of thing. And this will include all of the runs within that event, and that's the first go. And then as we scroll down, we would have the second go as well. So as the events progress, and whether you are writing the times onto the score sheet, or whether you would prefer to use other tools such as the electric eye timer, you can actually input results directly into the system during the races, or same method you can enter in afterwards. So here we have the open barrel racing event, and this will display this event in run order. So we will enter some times into the open barrel racing event, and this will display the entrance first of all in order of all of the carryovers. So these would be carried over times from other events, and I've already entered the times into those other events. So that is why you're seeing these here, and obviously that would be the order that we would do things. We would enter the events from which times are carried from. We would enter those first, and then we would enter the results in the events that time is carried to. So once we get through all the carryover times, then you'll see that we have our gross score and our penalty score boxes available here, and it will be initially in order of the first go, run 1, run 2, run 3, run 4. So I'm just going to pause this recording and enter in some times. So I have entered some times, and I have intentionally left one blank here. If you are using the something like the Farm Tech timer, you can click the input box here, and when the timer submits its time, it will place it in the box, and you can then move on to another box, or you could submit. So if this was our last time recorded, we will click the submit results, and what it will do is it will then calculate based on all the times and the data that we've provided, taking the entry or the added purse money, taking out the lump sum expense, adding in the entry fees for a gross purse, less a 30% fee going to the association or the producer, and we have a net purse of $5,922 based on 44 entrants. And it will tell us some key information here, how many runs were in the D1 range, the D2 range, D3, D4, of course what that fast time is, which is what the ranges are then based off of. It also tells us how much of the purse is allocated to go 1, and that's playing out four placings. And again, those are things that we had set over here. And then go 2 as well. And as we have a look down here, it is going to show us, it doesn't show us in this view here which D everybody placed in, but it does show us the amount of money that they won in Go 1, money that they won in Go 2, any money that they won in the average, and then a total of that money. So if we want to look at this in more detail, and you also see here that some of these carryover times we're winning some money as well. If we want to look at this in the specific D breakdown, we can go to results and show results preview. And so here we have the open barrel racing event, again, showing us the breakdown and calculations of the money here. And here we have the Go 1 payout and the first D, and it's going to show us how much is paid per each placing, and the second D and the third D. And of course, this was a 4D event all the way to the fourth D here in Go 1, and similar in Go 2. It is going to show us the payouts. It also shows us, as we see here, the range for that D, and then we see the average for this being paid out for all the Ds as well. So this will show us that breakdown, and we'll see it for the other events as well. Now at this point, it is not available on the public side, so this gives you a chance to look over the results and to ensure that results look proper. And for example, here we have 5 places paid out, and the reason we have 5 is because there was actually a tie in the average, so it has taken that 4th place money and split it 2 ways, as 2 people tied here. So you can take your time, you can look over these results, and when you're satisfied, we then go to manage shows, and we would choose the show we're working with here, and we can then say show the results on the public side, and we can just click in a box and hit enter to submit that, and it is going to then ask us again if we want to send an email notification to those entrants. And if we click this button, it will send that email as well as a link to those results we were just looking at. And if we look over here on the public side and refresh the view, we will see that the button for results is now available, and it is the same results we were just looking at on our side, or on the admin side. And if we scroll down to the average here, there's that tie again. So all of the results are now available on the public side, which then also means once it is marked as the results being official, that they are now automatically included in the standings. So we'll just widen this up just a touch here, and as we see here in the standings for each event, we can see based on up to and including now barrel race demo number 2. So it's now including 2 sets or two shows. We now see for the members who have placed and their winnings. And if we were tracking points in this demo, as a number of associations or producers would, we would be able to see the points awarded here as well. So now we have gone through the process of adding events and setting up our shows and entering and receiving entries and generating a draw and producing the tools that we would use during a show, entering results, entering times and calculating results, and making that available to the public, to the members. And we have also automatically calculated the season standings. So at this point now, we're going to have a look at the member side of things. So one of the other types of fees we can charge, and we can see it here under Manage Admin Fees, or also under Settings, Manage Admin Fees. So in addition to the entry fees, we can charge additional fees such as office fees or arena fees or timer fees or judges fees, whatever additional fees you would charge. And these are fees which are collected, which are charged to the members and collected and can be paid online, but they are not included in the prize money payout. So these would be fees that would go directly to the producer or the association. So in this case, we have an office fee of $5, and this is going to be charged per each event that you enter. So if you enter 2 events, you will be charged $10. 3 events, $15. We also have an arena fee, which is charged per each entrant. So regardless of how many events you enter, you're going to get charged a $7 fee. And again, these fees all go to the producer or the association and are not included in the prize purse. We'll have a quick look at member types and fees here as well. So you can have as many different types of members. You may not charge a membership fee. You may simply make your revenue via entry fees. But in this case, if you have season standings or an association or that type of thing, then you can have different membership types, and you can charge fees for these memberships. So on the public side, as they register to be a member, then they would also be required to pay fees. If this amount is something other than zero, then they would pay their fees to become a member of your association. So as an example, we will create a new member. So they would go to register, and we will use a name that I'm pretty sure is not in the system here yet, or that I have removed, and we'll use one of my test emails. Enter the password a couple times here. And for the sake of speed, I'm going to pause. So I have now entered in all of the membership information. We are going to set this one as an open membership. And this is where we would also enter in all the horse names, again, so that the rider horse combination can be used as entry. Then we would submit the new member, and it would allow us to pay the membership fees online as well, which would then mark this new member as having paid and available to enter the events and shows. So we have now ran through the majority of the functions. Again, we haven't covered everything, or we have another couple hours in this demo, but we've covered what functions are used by 90% of the associations and producers, from setting up events and shows to managing the entrance and generating a draw, and then managing some of those draw placements afterwards, using the tools of the judges' cards and announcer sheets, day sheets, etc. During the show, entering results, and again, that can be after the fact or entering them directly in during the event via stopwatch or via the electric eye timers. We've looked at some of the results and being able to preview things like the draw and the results ahead of time before we make it available to the members. We have had a look at what the members can see, what's available to them, including the show schedule and doing entries, draws and results, and standings, entering as a member. We've looked at, as I said, entering and calculating results and viewing those results. The last thing we'll have a quick look at here is the member database. So we can take a look at any one of these members. I'm just going to go down to where I know we've put some information in. And one of the things as the association admin, you have the ability to edit all of the membership information. We also have the ability to view this as a member would be able to view it. So we'll just have a look here. This is what's known as the member profile. And if we go over to the member side and log in, this was, hopefully I remember the password, and they have access to all this information as well. And from this, they can see their member profile. They have an earnings report. They have the ability to see if they have won money, and if they have, where they've won this money, and that type of thing. They can upload a member image if they wish, or if you require a proof of age image, then that can be managed as well. We can return there, and we can log out over here. So again, we have the ability to manage their member information, to reset their password, or update any of the information in there as necessary, which is one of the key features of the barrel racing system, is the ability to edit and change things as needed. And of course, the admin has access to virtually every piece of information within here. Also within the member area, we can also assign fines and manage fines to members if that's the case. And if they have a fine, then that prevents them from entering a show, entering events, until they have paid that fine, which of course they can do online as well. There are a number of reports that are available. If you need the report, we can point you to the right one. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. And as we said, there are a number of settings in here. And typically what we will do is we will help an association or a producer get those initial settings in place, including the payout formulas, so that they're ready to go. And then those settings typically don't get changed, other than perhaps at the start of the next season. Things may change, but it's usually a set it and forget it, and we will often help our new accounts get those in place and get up and running. The one last thing I would add to the demo here is we strongly encourage that our new users add some test data. And in fact, when your account is created, there will be some test data in the system. There will be a number of fake members. There will be some events. There will be a couple of fake shows. And this is just some data placed in there to allow you to get up and running and test some features of the system out, run your own draws, make some changes, play around with the system, and get it set up and test it out, make sure it works for you before you go live with this. As I often say to our new accounts, I would much rather have something miscalculate on a Wednesday afternoon when you're testing than on Saturday afternoon live and in front of 200 riders. So strongly encourage you to do some testing and get the system up and running and be comfortable with it and understand it well. And that tends to reduce the stress at your end and somewhat at our end as well. If you need assistance, you'll be able to contact us as well. Usually it works best if you contact us by email and describe whatever issue you might be having. And if there's a screenshot you can send us as well, that would be helpful. And that lets us diagnose whatever the issue might be. And most often what we found is it's simply something that has not been set the way we need to for how your organization operates. It doesn't match your rules, and so we can make some changes, and that usually gets you up and running. So with that, that's our demo, and enjoy the system.